Energies reading. I hope you're doing well. Apologies for this being a little bit late. I've been putting the final touches on my retreat for this weekend, the Bold Heart Visibility Retreat. I'm so excited. Can't wait for that. And one of the things that I've been noticing, especially when I was out for my walk yesterday, I've been seeing so many butterflies. I probably saw about a dozen butterflies in various spots on my walk yesterday. And I also saw probably about half a dozen dragonflies. So, and then I saw a hawk land on my house this morning. So you may be getting some messages from animals this week. You may be noticing some synchronicities. I definitely felt called to pull from the Spirit Animal Oracle deck for you today because I'm just seeing noticing a lot of animals and insects, and I love the symbolism of the butterfly transformation and the dragonfly, which is also about transformation. So this could be a very transformative week for you. I love that I was seeing these beautiful, magical creatures in my just everyday. So I feel like that's also a message for us to just really be present. And it can be so easy to rush through life and kind of miss those things or take them for granted. And it's really actually quite awesome, as in awesome, right? Like when you're present and you see this, and the fact that it was so many butterflies, I couldn't ignore it, And so I feel like that spirit reminding us to just notice this. I know there's a lot of negative things happening in the world, and it's not to say bypass the negative experiences, because they hold wisdom and growth and learning for us too. But to remember to appreciate the beauty that surrounds us every single day. We're used to it. And sometimes we take it for granted. And yet it can be so magnificent and so beautiful and full of wonder, right? And so I feel like that's part of what I personally was feeling yesterday and today, this morning. It was so beautiful to see that hawk just fly overhead and then land on, we have a spire on our house. So he landed right there, perched there for a little bit for me to just take in his majesty. So take some time this week to really take in the majesty of your world, of wherever you are in the world, whatever you're sensing and seeing and hearing and experiencing. Even if some of it is darkness, don't forget to look for the light, is what I'm getting. So I'm going to pull some Spirit Animal Oracles to see what does the Lightworker Collective need to know this week. We've got Flamingo, Mouse. Oh, the other thing too is you might want to look up, this is funny. You may want to look up for yourself, what butterfly and dragonfly and hawk means. But also think about, what do those animals represent specifically for you, and maybe do some journaling around what does butterfly, dragonfly, hawk mean for you. This is so interesting. Okay, so I actually pulled some cards for my kids this morning, and I did shuffle the deck, but 3 of these cards came up from one of my kids. So that's interesting. So we've got Flamingo Spirit, embrace the in-between. Mouse Spirit, tend to the small things. Ant Spirit, time to collaborate. And Skunk Spirit, know your worth. All right, so let me just tune in here. So if you take a look at some of my previous readings, we've definitely been going through a time of transition. And sometimes when we're going through those times of transition, it can be a smooth transition, right? Or it can kind of be rough. And what I'm feeling for the collective is that, it's probably been a mix of both, but let's face it, it's been a pretty jarring time, this transition. And intended to be so, right? This is a time intended to shake things up. And so what I'm feeling coming through here is to just remember that nothing lasts forever, right? Like our lives go in ebbs and flows. If you're kind of in a rough place, it's trusting that it's not going to be that way forever. And remembering that even in those difficult times, there's opportunity to to transform, to learn, to grow, right? And so we as a collective, sometimes it can be easy and understandable to forget this, but everything is actually happening for us. Just because it doesn't look easy or pleasant or smooth all the time, that does not necessarily mean that the world is against us or that life is against us. It's more of a matter of getting present to why we might feel that way, and what's really going on with us on the inside. Our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. And so what I'm feeling with this first Flamingo Spirit card is to really remember and get grounded and get present that we're going to pull in and attract and align to the dominant energy that's within us, right? And so if we're feeling chaotic and we're feeling that, we're feeling chaotic, we're in sort of our default energy, well, that's what's going to be in our reality, right? And so the other piece of this is that there are things that we truly can't control, right? So there's a lot of things that have been happening this year and a half, right? That have felt out of our control. And when we feel powerless, we respond, we react to that. Often with, the typical flight or fight or fawn, the typical responses. And this is also, I'm feeling, a reminder that even though there are things beyond our control, we always can control how we respond and react. We can always, we often make a story about what it means about the world, what it means about others, what it means about us. And we always have the choice. We always have the choice to choose what kind of story we're going to tell about it. We're going to tell ourselves about it. Okay? So that's also coming through with this card. With Mouse Spirit, tend to the small things. So what is it that you want them to know about this Mouse Spirit? I'm actually getting, sometimes this is about details, but I'm actually getting, there might be something about children here this week, whether you work with children, maybe that's part of your mission. It is back to school for many children here in the U.S. I think actually all children here in the U.S. So there might be something coming up around children. It could be your children. It could be, maybe you're a teacher of children. That doesn't necessarily have to mean traditional teacher either. Maybe part of your mission is actually teaching concepts like this to children. And so if that's something that you've been thinking about or working on or developing, creating, in your mission, in your business, I feel like this is kind of the wink from the universe, the confirmation that that's on the right track. Of getting mentorship here. Yeah, this feels a lot less about like details. Also, I'm also getting a grounded energy too. So there may be a little bit. I mean, I know astrologically there's a couple of things going on. In particular, the sun is squared to Neptune, and so there's also this message of grounding is really important this week, right? Sun is all about life force energy. Neptune is a little bit more. Well, Neptune's in Pisces, so it's a little bit of that dreamy, illusory energy. And so it could also be very easy this week to kind of have your head in the clouds. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like there's nothing wrong with dreams and imagination and sort of being connected with, the upstairs, the spirituality, the galactic cosmic forces. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm feeling is that it could, because of the way that the planets are this week, it could just create a little bit more illusion this week. And with the mouse spirits, like, don't forget your grounding practices as well, right? Like, this is a really important time to continue to be grounded. Yes, pay attention to the details, and those details might have something to do with children. Also, great time to collaborate. So again, with mission, this speaks to, this could be with your clients. This could be collaborating with partners. I know that for me, this is starting to become a theme that's coming up, where I have, I'm collaborating with a couple of partners for my retreat. There are other people in my circles, people from my soul family, as I like to call them, where we've been talking about different ways that we can collaborate while carrying out our own individual purpose and mission and path, but also mutually supporting each other, and also creating and collaborating together. So that might be something that comes up for you as well this week. The more that light workers come together, the better it is for humanity, right? So a lot of times we feel like we have to be doing. And I know for me, this has been a big learning, right? And we feel that our value is connected to how much we do. And that's part of our conditioning, right? Especially in Western society, we've placed huge value on productivity and external success, how much we get done, that kind of thing. And this is changing. This is changing for humanity. It's starting to look more like, okay, our value is really in who we are, who we're being, and how we're working together. Right. So if you're considering opportunities around collaboration, and I know for those of us who are used to kind of being the lone wolves, right, that could feel a little scary. And what I'm feeling is that Spirit is asking you to really, if that's what's coming up for you, to go within and do some inner work around that, right? Like, why is it that you think you have to do everything by yourself? What story do you have about collaborating with others? A good example of this, actually, I'm thinking about the conversation that my kids and I had this morning when these cards came out. One of my daughters was talking about how she had a group project, and she said they made me do all the work. They made me do all the paperwork, right? So we've all had those experiences, right, where we feel like, oh, everybody else is, kind of goofing off, and I'm here doing all the work because I'm the responsible one. Well, what would it look like to maybe not be the responsible one. And you know, these kinds of situations bring out our defaults, and it's an opportunity to learn from how we show up in these situations. And so you may have that opportunity this week, or you may have that opportunity in the future. And what Spirit is saying is, just notice what comes up for you when those opportunities present themselves. You know, are you approaching it from the default of, oh, okay, I'm going to say no to this because I'm always the one that ends up doing all the work, right? Do you shut it down immediately? Or is it, I'm going to say yes to this, but I know I'm going to be the one that always does the work, right? So when you say yes, how do you show up? Are you showing up in that default? Or are you going to show up in a different, a higher vibe way? And so Spirit's asking us to be aware of that as well. And then finally, know your worth. And so what I'm feeling is, I feel like these two cards in particular are working together in the sense of, if you're wanting to collaborate, but you have some concerns and you have some worries, it's like, okay, do some work around those. Don't ignore those concerns and worries, and set some boundaries, make some agreements, right? Like you are worthy of not being the one doing all the work, right? So just be clear about how you want to show up in that collaboration, how you would like other people to show up in that collaboration, right? And speak it, share it, make an agreement. We often go through life making assumptions. This is an opportunity to experience a different kind of collaboration where you're in agreement with each other. And so that when and if the time comes to reinforce a boundary, those agreements, you have them down, right? You both agreed, or however many are in your collaboration, you all agreed to the agreements, and they're written down. And you can always, things get off track, as sometimes they do. That's just part of life, right? You have that to go back to. Well, we agreed to this. We agreed that I was only going to do the paperwork on this part of the project, and you agreed to take care of it for this part of the project, for example, right? And so you can create a completely different collaborative experience when you're clear about the boundaries, and when others are clear about the boundaries, and you're all clear about what each and every one of you are agreeing to. So, and that is how you're embodying your worth, right? Clarity, agreements, boundaries. It helps you honor yourself as well as others in your collaboration, or just, in your life, in your mission. I'm just tuning in to see if there's anything else coming through for this week. It sounds like it's going to be really pleasant. It also feels like a really kind of pleasant, what I'm sensing is like things opening up, the flow opening up this week. I know things have been really heavy, right? Very restricted. And I'm just over the last month, I'm feeling that the energy just feels lighter. It's flowing. There's just more ease, if you're allowing that to be, right? the energies, the collective energies and the cosmic energies are making it easier for us to align with that ease and that flow. Okay, so if you're not feeling that, then I would say, go within and do some inner work around what may be blocking that for you. All right, so that is your reading for the collective energies this week for lightworkers. I hope you enjoyed this. If any of that resonates with you, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.